You've seen the footage all over the newspapers, all over the TV. Let's get more reaction to it now. The Muslim Council of Britain has condemned what happened yesterday. The Sheffield Federation of Mosques also condemned the attack and said that this action will no doubt heighten tensions on the streets of the UK. We saw, didn't we, the EDL yesterday gathering at Woolwich Arsenal train station near the scene last night. They threw bottles at police. How is this going to play out? What's going to happen? Will there be reprisals? Muhbeen Hussain is chairman of a group in Rotherham called Rotherham Muslim Youth. Morning, Muhbeen.
Morning, Toby, and morning to all your colleagues at the station.
Thank you very much. Just give us, first of all, Muhbeen, your reaction to what happened yesterday.
Yeah, first of all, what happened yesterday was horrific. It was a heinous crime. It was a criminal act committed. There is no justification for what happened, and my deepest thoughts and prayers are with the family and the loved ones of the soldier that was killed yesterday.
And where in the scheme of this does the perpetrator fall, who, on the front of the papers and all across our TV last night, claimed that he did it in the name of Islam?
Well, first and foremost, I think that we should stay calm. I think officials were wrong in the way they went about it. I think they came out and said it was a terrorist, Islamic jihadist attack when they had no information on the matter itself. Even now, what is the classification of terrorism? Can this be classed as terrorism? We heard from your expert earlier from Bradford University saying it was a terrorist attack, but I've heard from other interpretations from people like John Cooper QC, one of the best barristers in the country, questioning on what grounds is this a terrorist attack? And first and foremost, we must look at the act and condemn it, because it is wrong, but there is no Islamic interpretation of it. But what I find here is a lack of knowledge and a gap in information. When I see anchors, when I see analysts and editors and the commentators use the word jihadist and linking it to some kind of Islamic principle that this is acceptable within Islam, when it isn't. When jihad means to strive and to struggle in the way of good. And Islam completely condemns all acts of violence and terrorism and killing. And this has nothing to do with Islam. It's not in the name of my Islam. It's not in the name of any Islam. But this is one thing which is a criminal matter and has to be seen as a criminal matter in itself.
The difficulty is going to be, and I understand what you're saying, I accept what you're saying, the difficulty is going to be that on the page 5 of the biggest selling paper in the country today, they have his words, and it starts off, the only reason we've killed this man today is because Muslims are dying daily by British soldiers. So people are going to view this as an Islamist attack. How are tensions going to be affected on the streets, do you think?
To be honest, Toby, from my personal opinion, from my view, for what I've seen yesterday on the social networking sites, I've already seen community relations being dampened from this horrific attack, where I would ask for the British community as a whole to come together and condemn these acts and work together, united against these acts of violence. What we have seen is we find people from the far right, the growing far right, have come together and have used this to their advantage. And we found, I believe there's a common misconception. We need to deal with the main cause. The main cause of this is not religion, but it is Britain's relations in the Middle East, whether it's in the past, the history, Iraq, Afghanistan, whether it's today with the Syrian rebels, etc. And we must deal with the issue face on, because I think for too long we've not dealt with this issue. We've hid behind...
Hang on a minute, it either is a terrorist attack or it isn't. What you're saying now is that it is politically motivated and there's some justification.
No, there is no justification for the acts, but we must see why these people are committing these acts and how we can stop these acts. There's no justification on any grounds for committing these heinous crimes that are committed. However, we need to come out and we need to condemn these acts, but deal with the acts. We need the Muslim community itself to come out and make sure that it can talk on a grassroots level about these effects. We've seen Asghar Buhari from MPAC yesterday come on to BBC and talk about how Muslim organisations could find young people to come out and speak on political terms to share their views. And if there are these people in the community, we must come out and make sure that they understand the true meaning. But what I find mainly is there's a clash of civilizations, a misunderstanding. People think that being British and being Muslim cannot be one and the same. But if we look at the roots and the principles, I have found, and I will say yet again, that being British, being Muslim and being Asian is one and the same, and we're part of this society, and we can live united in this society. There is no issue.
And how do we move on then? How do we move away from this? The front pages, the front 10 pages of every paper are full of it. How do we react to it sensibly?
Well, sensibly, first and foremost, we've got to hear from the Prime Minister today. I hope he does use calm words and not the ones he used in Brussels once and heightened the extremists of the EDL, which we've seen EDL already motivated. But we need to look on all grounds. We need to find if the media is going to continue to work its magic to sell its papers and let the community suffer, which they are happening. We find that the vast majority of people are not Muslims, are not represented by people like Anjum Chowdhury, yet the BBC, yet other organisations, media outlets are giving these our media time to sell their papers to make sure the people hear what they want them to hear. Then we're going to cause problems. If you can actually get true representation of the Muslim community, maybe you won't dampen community relations. Maybe we can unite. And on a long term, we need to talk about education and understanding of the Muslim faith, because we're living in 2013 and there's misconceptions in society about what the true teachings of Islam are.
Obviously, you're a member of a Rotherham Muslim Youth. You're the chairman. When did they meet again, and what will their thoughts be on this?
Yeah, I spoke to some members yesterday, and there was tensions because the reactions that came out on the social media. Automatically, whenever there is a terrorist attack around the world, whether it's Boston, this unfortunately had to happen in London, in our nation, and it was a horrific attack. But we find that the Muslim community has to come on the back foot. It has to condemn every act. I myself am appalled by these actions. I condemn these actions, but in no way, shape or form am I apologetic, because I didn't commit this crime, and neither did the millions of Muslims up and down the country. So we should not feel apologetic. I completely am adamant upon that point. However, we should work with all parts of society to make sure that these criminal acts, like other criminal acts, do not happen in our society, because we are people of Britain and we must make sure that our streets are safe, because we are British.
Muhbeen Hussain, thank you very much indeed. That's Muhbeen Hussain, the chairman of Rotherham Muslim Youth.
Toby Foster.